This is the Olympus XA2, a 35mm point and shoot that I'm going to be giving away to one of the viewers of this video. But first, let's talk about this little point and shoot camera. A few months ago, I picked up this XA2 from a thrift store and I've really enjoyed using it since then. It's a great little pocket camera, so today we're going to talk about my likes, my dislikes, and who this camera is for and who should buy this camera. So let's dive into it. To me, the XA2 is pretty overlooked. A lot of people know the XA1, its older brother that's more of a rangefinder with a very similar body style. And then a lot of people know the Mu series, which is some of the most popular 35mm pocketable point and shoot cameras that are out, and they're way overpriced. The XA2 is kind of in between. It was during this transition from manual focus point and shoot cameras to autofocus point and shoot cameras, and it slots in nicely right around the 80s where that transition started to take place. The XA2 uses a really nice 35mm f3.5 lens. This is a great focal length for everyday photography, and that's how most people will be using this little point and shoot. It's great for portraits of friends, it's great for hanging out with family, it's great for landscapes. It can do a little bit of everything and do it all quite well. It also isn't motorized, so you don't have to worry about it breaking like you do on a lot of other film cameras of this era. By far my favorite part of this lens system is the sliding lens cap. It turns the camera on and off, and it's also super fun to fidget with. Like many other point and shoots at this time, you have no control over your exposure. The camera is going to set everything automatically and you get what you get. On the viewfinder, there is an indicator light when your shutter speed's below 1/30th of a second. I think it's 1/30th of a second, don't count me on that. And it'll let you know if you're going to have any motion blur, just so you can keep that in mind. You do have control over your ISO, so you can fake your exposure whether you want to overexpose a bit or underexpose a bit using the ISO controls, but it's not a foolproof plan and I wouldn't rely on it. So far, the metering has been great on this camera and I haven't had any issues. It's been fairly accurate and I've been happy with how it's metered. I do like having manual controls in my camera, but for something like this when you're just shooting out with family and friends, it's great to just be able to press the shutter and not have to worry about anything. As I mentioned earlier, this camera doesn't have autofocus. This makes focusing a bit different. It uses a zone focus system. You have 3 zones: close up, medium, and wide, and then you have to choose depending on your distance between your subject which is best for your photo. This can be a bit tricky and can take some time to get used to, but over time you do get used to it. For the most part, you can stay at the medium focus zone and you'll be fine for most of your photography. I did find that I would often forget to change it, and that's why some of my photos would come out blurry, but the more I use the camera, the easier it gets. You should also note that when you close the lens cover, the camera will automatically reset your zone back to medium, so every time you open the camera, your zone focus will always be set to medium, which is kind of where you're going to be most of the time anyway. It's actually a nice feature and it works out well. The build quality of the XA2 is actually really solid. While most of the camera is plastic, the rear panel is made of metal, which gives it a nice heft and a solid feel. I think it's the perfect size to fit in a pocket, it's not too bulky, and it's easy to take everywhere with you. There's also an optional flash that you can attach to the camera. Unfortunately, the one mine came with is broken, but they seem pretty cheap and easy to pick up online on eBay or other used camera sites. The shutter button on this camera is also really unique. It's this red square that doesn't depress very much, it just takes a really light tap to fire the shutter. I almost don't like it. I find it's a little hard to tell if I've taken my photo between the light tap and the leaf shutter making almost no noise. It gets easier with time, but it's one of those things that still doesn't feel right to me. I like a nice solid shutter and this isn't that. The other thing to note about this shutter is I find that mine's had a little bit of an issue where it gets stuck, where I press it down and nothing happens. It takes some jiggling and some pressing to get it to fire again. This is something that I've heard is fairly common with these cameras, so just keep that in mind if you're purchasing yours. Mine has always worked itself out, but it can be annoying at times if you're missing a moment because the shutter button's a little stuck. Overall, the XA2 is a great little 35mm point and shoot camera. I think it's priced really well compared to the competition. It has a lot of the same great features and can be used in the same way as the XA1 or the Mu series. If you're looking for a 35mm point and shoot camera to take everywhere with you, I highly suggest considering the XA2. So now, how do you win this one? To celebrate hitting 1,000 subs, I'm going to be giving my XA2 to one of you. All you have to do to win is be subscribed and comment below how you plan on using the XA2 if you win. Please note, this is a thrifted camera. As I mentioned, it's not in perfect condition, the back is a bit scratched up, and the shutter button does stick a little, but overall it's working and it can be a lot of fun. And I'm excited for one of you to get it. This giveaway is only open to people in the continental US. Unfortunately, I can't ship out of the United States. I'd love to, and I hope I will be able to in the future. I'm going to be randomly choosing a winner in a month from when this video was posted, so make sure you get your comments in below and subscribe. For now, go out and take some photos. Enjoy.